Really appreciate you guys coming. Seems like it's been a while since we've been here, but obviously you guys know we're coming off an open date. We had practice yesterday. I thought it was a really good practice. Got BYU coming to town. They're a really good football team. They won their first 4 games, and then they lost their quarterback, and they've lost their last 4. But to me, their record doesn't indicate, how good they are, how talented they are. Playing against them last year, you saw firsthand how good they are. They're an extremely long team. They're big. They can run. They've just struggled here. Recently they lost a couple close games. They lost in overtime to Central Florida, and then they had a touchdown loss there to Nevada when they were leading at halftime 28-13. So this is a really good team. They're really good on defense, and like I said, they're struggling a little bit, offensively right now just with the quarterback change. But we got our work cut out for us, this week, preparing for them. So looking forward to the challenge. When you play a team like this, you've got to be really good in the kicking game. And I say it all the time, you can't turn the ball over. We can't give them a short field. So we got to make sure we're very protective of the football and play well in the kicking game. So looking forward to playing it, looking forward to the week. It'll be an exciting week. And I know our players are excited. And with that, I'll open it up.
What does it say, 16 years in the Division I, you guys come so far, now you get a team with the historical significance of a BYU to come into Floyd Stadium. Talk about what it means to have a team, with the historical background of them to come to Murfreesboro and play.
Will, the whole culture of Middle Tennessee athletics, Kermit, everything that's going on here, basketball, everything, has changed. I haven't been here the whole 16 years of Division I, but, you got to give, Chris Massaro a lot of credit, for his vision in attracting teams here. Dr. McPhee, I know he's done a lot of work, in the meetings or the committees that he's on in the NCAA, trying to get teams to come here. And, I guess since I've been here, Maryland and Virginia and Mississippi State and, Georgia Tech, those guys, and now BYU. But here's a team that won the national championship in 1984. We went there last year, and you forget how much tradition and history, how many great players have gone through that program. When you look at in their stadium, how many bowl games they've been to, and, the national championship, and, the great quarterbacks, the great players that they've had there. So, I think it's a unique opportunity, for, our fans to see one of the more successful teams in the history of college football come to your stadium, to come to your town. So I think it's a great opportunity. But, to me, I didn't have anything to do with them coming here. So to me, the credit goes to, to Chris and Dr. McPhee.
After giving the team the week off, how did they respond yesterday at practice? What was the mood out there yesterday?
We've got a great attitude. We didn't need a week off to come back and have a great attitude. This team has been very positive, has worked hard the entire year. But, I'm a firm believer that your mind has to be fresh as well as your body. And after 8 weeks of, playing game after game for 8 weeks, the stress, the pressure of those games, you throw in August, and then you really throw in July, because they didn't. Once we came back in it came back in July for the second summer session, school was still going on when we reported in camp. So they really hadn't had much of a break, since July 4th. And I felt that we were a little mentally tired. I felt, obviously we were physically tired from, going 11 straight weeks. So I think they're energized. I think their batteries are recharged, both mentally and physically. We had a good practice yesterday, and so I think it was very beneficial for us.
Have you ever been a part of a team that loses a player, like looking at BYU, they lose their quarterback, and just seemingly their offense just doesn't really have an identity now? Have you ever been a team like that? And then what's the biggest difference that you've seen on film between the first 4 games and the second 4 games for them offensively?
Well, I'll answer the second part while I think about the first part. You know, to me, the biggest difference, they're playing better competition, and that's no disrespect for the first 4 that they played. They're playing a little bit better competition. The quarterback was so dynamic. He was, you know, as good a quarterback as there was in the country. I mean, there's very few quarterbacks that can rush, you know, for 200 yards a game, 300 yards a game, and still throw the ball for the same amount. So he was very dynamic. He's a tremendous competitor. Watching him play against us last year was a tremendous competitor. You know, so I'm sure he was there, you know, he was there, the leader of their team. You know, you could see it when he got hurt in that game, you know, how his teammates rallied behind him. You know, so when you lose your trigger man, when you lose a guy like that, you know, it's hard to replace him in a 3-week period, a 4-week period. It takes time. So, you know, they ran into a buzzsaw last week against Boise State. Boise is really, really good. They're fast. You know, to me, they look like Boise of old. You know, so they ran into a really good team. They get beaten overtime on the road at UCF, who played in a BCS Bowl last year. You know, and they get beat by Nevada when they're winning 28-13, you know, at the half. And then Utah State, you know, they got beat there after they lose their quarterback. So the games they've lost, you know, they've lost them against some pretty good people. You know, I don't know if I know I still hadn't answered your first part, Will, but anytime you lose a quarterback, it's, you know, that's a tough deal to replace. But I can't remember if I've ever been on the team that, you know, you lost, you know, a guy that was so, you know, instrumental and had so much to do, you know, with your offense. I mean, like I said, he was probably averaging 350 yards, 400 yards himself offensively, just, you know, with how dynamic he is or was.
BYU really travels well. They're one of these teams that has fans just all over the country. What kind of crowd are you expecting in Floyd Stadium on Saturday?
You know, I can't speak for them. I don't know how many people they're going to bring. I've heard they're going to bring a lot. All I can do is appeal to our fan base, to our students. We're a good football team. You know, we're play the game the way it's supposed to be played. We play with great effort. We got good players out there. It's going to be a heck of an opportunity for us, a heck of a challenge. We need our fans. We need to make it loud. We don't need to be outnumbered, you know, by BYU. You know, so all I can do is appeal to our fans, our students, you know, that we come to the game and you know, try to, you know, make it hard for them to get in the game.
Conference USA last week announced that they hired a PR firm to help Marshall get into the, or at least to try to get into the playoff. What do you think about that?
Well, they're not going to get in the 14 playoff.
Well, I guess I meant the G5 bid, or to be that team that gets that group of 5.
I think it's a heck of an idea. I think it's very proactive on our part, on the conference's part, to try to, you know, to promote a team. They're undefeated. They're 8-0. You know, so I think it speaks volumes for the vision of Conference USA. I think it speaks volumes for how professional this conference is, and we're not going to sit back and, you know, be reactive. And so I think it's a heck of an idea. I'm glad they did it.
Do you think they're, if they run the table and go undefeated, win the conference, are they a team that would deserve it over maybe a one-loss ECU or a Colorado State or one of those teams? What's your opinion on that?
You know, I really don't have one. I think, the voting system, all that, I'm not sure how it works, but, I know East Carolina's had 2 great wins, over Virginia Tech and North Carolina. Probably got better names than what their record is this year, but they've beaten 2 really good teams, and Marshall's undefeated, and so I think if Marshall gets in one, they're very deserving of it. And me personally, I think you hate to say it, but to me, you go 12-0, and the other teams are 10-2, 11-1, whatever they are. The undefeated team should be rewarded.
I know you have a vote in the coaches poll. Where do you have them in your coaches poll right now?
The December vote is when it comes out public, so I don't have to answer that question. I don't have to tell you who I vote for until it comes public in that December vote.
Fair enough.
Not being a smart aleck.
Schubert Bastion has really kind of come alive on your defensive line. I think it kind of started at Old Dominion. He just kind of hit another gear. Can you talk about your senior? He seems to have really found his niche up there on your front seven.
Will, it's a good observation there. Schubert's really playing well. He's always been, a very solid player. Nothing really flashy. He's played really well against the run this year. He's been a little bit more effective, in the passing game as a pass rusher. But I think the big thing is you're seeing a senior who's played a bunch of games now that's really confident, that's really playing at a high level, and a lot of it has to do with what he's seen over the last 3.5 years from the games that he's played in. I think Coach West has done a great job with him from a coaching standpoint, and but I think Schubert's just playing at a high level, a high confidence level right now. He's playing physical. He's bigger than he's playing. He's heavier this year than he was last year, and I think that's helped him. He's a little bit stronger than what he was, so all those physical things, I believe, have helped him also.
I look at the stats, and they're giving up, over 300 yards passing a game. Is that something you guys will try to exploit on Saturday?
Will, we still got to we've been most effective when we've been able to run the ball. So it's going to be hard to run against these guys because they're so big, they're so long, they're very, very physical. But we've got to establish the running game. We've got to be able to do that, and then if we're able to create some things in the passing game. But I don't think you can look at stats and say this team gives up, 300 yards passing or 300 yards rushing. You ought to be able to do that. I think sometimes stats get misconstrued a little bit, from a strategic standpoint. So, but we're going to try to establish the run, Will, and then try to be effective. And we've got to be highly efficient in the passing game. We got some big plays against UAB last week, but we weren't very efficient. So we've got to improve in that area.
Rick, in terms of the schedule, coming off a bye week and then you get back at it, you go up against a non-conference foe. Is that, in a way, kind of a nice thing to kind of not ease back into things, but you don't have that pressure of a conference game right out of the gate from your bye week?
Me personally, I've always liked playing the non-conference games earlier in the year, not to get them over with, but you kind of get in that rhythm of, playing a conference game, week after week. What I think is good about this is next week after this game, we have another open date, and that gives us a week now to prepare for for your last three. Not that you're going to prepare for all three of them, but your last three games are all conference games. That you got a week coming off this BYU game, to prepare for your conference game. So I think that's probably more important to me than having the week off before this game.
In reading Mark's notes, it talks about 7 straight wins at home. How much has Floyd Stadium become a tough place for opponents to play and an advantage for your team?
The thing that we always talk about is take pride in playing at home. And our team has done that, or teams have done that. So when we play at home, we don't play harder. We don't play because we're going to play hard on the road, just as hard on the road as we do at home. But we take pride in playing at home, in protecting our turf. And, so I think there's some validity in that. We've been fortunate, but I think the big thing is we just take a lot of pride in playing at home and trying to be successful.
Will talked about BYU fan base and how it travels well, and you don't want to be outnumbered in your own stadium. I mean, do you say that jokingly? I mean, there's not a chance something like that could happen, is there?
I wouldn't think so, but I've heard all kind of rumors that they've sold this amount of tickets and they've sold that amount of tickets. No, it's not going to. I say it jokingly, but at the same time, let's make it hard for them to get in there. That's what I meant. Let's make it hard. Let us buy all the tickets so when they come, Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, that they can't get in. They got to watch it on TV in the parking lot.
And last thing, red zone success, really an impressive statistic when you guys get in the red zone, 31 out of 34, the notes say. What is it, how challenging is it to be that successful in the red zone? I mean, because, the field gets smaller, et cetera, and to have that kind of statistic, what does it say about your team?
Well, I didn't think we were very good at it last year in the red zone. It made a huge emphasis in August. I showed them stats, statistics from all the teams in the country, the most successful teams. We did a lot of red zone work in August. We continue to do it here during the fall. So we've taken a lot of pride. We've spent a lot of time in the red zone working on it. And I think we've done a lot better job this year than last year of scoring touchdowns as opposed to kicking field goals. We're 31 out of 34, and the 3 misses have been turnovers. We've had turnovers down there the 3 times. So it always goes back to it's about us, it's about you, and it's hard to score down there. Like you said, the field condenses. Your passing lanes get smaller. The box becomes smaller because they got more people in it. So it's just a testament. And it always starts, with our offensive line. You got to be good up front to be successful in the red zone. I think our offensive line has done a good job running the football as well as throwing the ball down in that area. So it's something that we've put a lot of work in. So I think it speaks volumes for our players.
Any more questions for Coach?
Coach, how important is it for you guys to go on ahead and pick up that 6th win to become bowl eligible this early on in the season?
I'm not going to talk a whole bunch about the bowl stuff. It's important for us to get the 6th win because it's the next game, and that's all we talk about. I don't get into, hey, we got to get this so we become bowl eligible and all that kind of stuff. But it's irrelevant to playing this game against BYU. So, when the bowls come out at the end of the year, we'll see where we stand.
Isaiah, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Last year, BYU, it was a game where you guys were there but couldn't really get out of your own way, some turnovers that kind of put BYU in position to pull away. What have you talked about on correcting that this year, and then what are you guys expecting from a team that's kind of reeling, having lost 4 games in a row?
All right, like you said, Coach said they started off strong, and they've had a tough little streak here. They played a lot better competition. Hopefully, we can protect the ball more, and I believe that all starts with, establishing a run game. So as long as we can stick to our fundamentals, run the ball, I think we should be fine.
how rewarding was it for Coach to give you the entire week off last week, and then how much did you guys utilize that to rest, get healthy, get all these little nagging injuries that you've had since July kind of healed up and ready for this stretch run?
I mean, I think it's a testament, Coach Stock's never heard of that. I've never heard of that. He trusts us, and I think we all did a great job. We were flying around at practice. Everybody was fresh. Like you said, that week kind of gave us a week to get over those nagging things. We've been going strong since camp, so I think this week was much needed.
To have a program like BYU come to Murfreesboro, you guys went out there last year and you got to see, LaVelle Edwards, a legendary coach, and Steve Young's name is, I'm sure it's up there in the Ring of Honor. What does it mean to have them make the trek across country and come back and play you guys in your home stadium?
I think it's a big-time game. I think it means a lot for our program, having them come in here and play. I know they're going to bring a lot of people, so that's big for our recruiting process and the future of this team. I'm just prepared for a good game, give everybody a good showing.
A lot of coaches, a lot of teams will talk about how important it is to win the first 5 minutes of the second half in order, especially in close games. You guys hadn't been able to score in the third quarter, I think, since Old Dominion. Any reason why, and then how do you correct that, moving forward?
I really can't pinpoint a certain reason as to why, but I know past couple weeks we've been focusing on starting the game strong, and so we just need to come in and start the second half strong, and we always finish the games well, and that's why our fourth quarter is always so strong.
You mentioned how important it is to establish the run. How do you do that against a team like Coach said that's really long, really tall, big? Is this maybe the toughest defensive front that you guys have faced all year?
I don't believe that. I think Memphis was still the best front we played, but they're long, they're a big team. We just got to do our fundamentals, take care of our business. We can't have mental breakdowns, and our run game should be successful.
Is it in the back of your mind at all? Have you thought about it at all? I mean, you're second on the all-time sack list, so do you want to kind of get it out of the way, I guess, or what's going through your head as you're, I know you've got to be thinking about it.
I usually just ignore it and just, like Coach always says, ignore the noise, like the folks in our locker room. Everybody always reminds me about it, telling me that they're proud of me and what I'm doing. All my teammates, especially Coach Allen, always running around telling me about it because he played with me and always there helping me out, and especially Coach Omar. But it's really not really the biggest deal to me because I just want to do whatever it takes for our team to be successful, and whatever happens on the field, if it contributes to us getting a win, that's all that matters to me.
What would it mean if you're able to get the record at some point in these last 4 or 5 games? What would it mean to you to have your name, etched in stone, so to speak, at the top of a record that a lot of really good pass rushers have played here? What would that mean to you if you're able to get it?
I mean, I'll feel really grateful, be proud, and I'll really have to. It would really mean a lot to me. It would be a goal I accomplish, and it just really not. I'm not really sure, but
When you came here, did you expect to? I mean, is that something that you set your mind to when you came here? Was to be the all-time sack leader, maybe?
I didn't even know I would have this role when I came here, or the opportunities I had to get sacks like that. It really didn't come to me until about the fourth game this year, when I realized I had a chance to get it. I wasn't really thinking about it too much.
You watch BYU on film, and like Isaiah and Coach mentioned, win the first 4, lose the last 4 after losing their quarterback. How do you exploit that, from a defensive standpoint? I mean, are you guys looking at it as pin your ears back and let's go get the backup, let's kind of make him let's do what these other 4 teams have done since they lost their quarterback and make them pay? Or is it more of a we just have to play our game and continue to do what we do, and then that'll be enough for you guys to get a win on Saturday?
Well, it's, of course, always about us. We don't really always worry about the other team. We worry about them schematically to make sure that we do what we have to do to be able to get the win. They have a lot of good players on their team still. Their running back, 21, he's really good. They have a solid offensive line and some great receivers out there. Just their Hill went down, and I guess it's just hard to recover when you have such a great player and a great leader go down. But it's all about what we do, and we're going to practice what we do to the best of our ability this week and play our assignments and line up and go play like we've always been playing.
Leighton, Coach talked about the team getting a chance to be mentally and physically recharged, batteries recharged coming off the bye week. How much better do you feel having had last Saturday off?
I feel about 100% now. A lot of our players feel a lot better after that week off. We had a lot of things we had to get fixed off the field, and I believe all those things were taken care of within that week. People who are banged up are back healthy now and ready to roll with us, so that's the best part about it.
Is it exciting to play a BYU, a program so rich in history when it comes to college football?
Yes, sir. It's always fun to go play a program with history, especially when they're a good team. And we love to be able to play all the opportunities we get to go out there on the field, especially that they're coming here. It gives our program a chance to shine and a chance to promote ourselves on and off the field.
So honestly, you never thought about sack record until this year, you said?
Yes, sir. I didn't know what the record was until this year, honestly. I was just out there flying around and doing the best I could to have production for the team.